Hello fellow adventurers and welcome to another edition of Digital Hindsight. This time I'll be answering the questions posted on the previous milestone video. Big thanks to everyone who posted something, it's been a lot of fun to do these sort of things. I'm going to separate the questions on potential future games to recap for the latter half of the video, so thanks for all the suggestions and requests. So let's get started. Thank you for your support of the metagame, I know it hasn't gotten much love recently. Selfishly, I kinda have to be inspired to make one for a game, and the spirit of it is to help where I don't see a lot of help coming in for some games. I know I will do something for Fire Emblem Three Houses when it comes out, but whenever a smaller RPG comes out and I play it, and it's a type that flies so low under the radar that they don't even have a GameFAQs or IGN guide for it, I especially like to help those out. I imagine that when this becomes full time for me, I can't afford time to do it more reliably. My undisputed favorite franchise is The Legend of Zelda. Now that Nintendo has lifted their YouTube red tape, I absolutely will cover this series. I would like to break ground on it this year, but we'll see. I have a backlog of requests first. Great question, and one I can honestly make into a Digital Hindsight on its own, so I'll try to keep it short here. The stories that speak to me the most are usually the ones where the character or cast are well developed, but they're not the most important people in the world for it. I like character development arcs where they grow through struggle and make great choices. Also, the more consistent the rules of the world, the more I like it. For any narrative structure, I look for how they introduce terms and fleshing out of the world and characters organically. I am not a fan of contrivances and predictable tropes. Journeys that include small stories are great too, because not everything has to be high stakes and the fate of the world. My advice for any narrative structure: show, don't tell. Also, I will do more Trails games in the future, especially Cold Steel. I have a few ideas floating around, though I said I was going to cover Castlevania and Tales of, though a few more Trails games will be in my future for sure. My knee-jerk enthusiasm is dipping into Nintendo for Legend of Zelda, Pokemon, and Fire Emblem, though I've been keeping my eye on Dragon Quest, Shin Megami Tensei, and Metal Gear. More likely, I will work to finish a series I've already started, like Phantasy Star, Mana, Breath of Fire, Shadow Hearts, and Suikoden series. In other words, I have my work cut out for me. So, for the first part, I will need to look into Subscribestar and see what the constraints are before I exercise it as an option, but thanks for bringing it to my attention. For the second part, no worries about that. Digital Hindsight is my place to be opinionated about games since I can't really do it during recapitation. I don't have any desire to bring politics and religion into my channel, that's just not the topics I want to talk about. For the last part, I game without borders. I have a PC, Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and I still keep my 3DS, Xbox 360, and PS3 around for any games I want to tackle there. In storage, I have my DS, PS2, GameCube, N64, Game Boy SP, and NES. I definitely attempt to play on PC when possible since it's easier to record that way, but most times I play favorites and keep games on the platform I originally got them for. I'm with you though. I have over 550 games in my Steam library alone, yet barely touch it since I'm usually at my computer editing all the time. Speaking of, this would also be a great topic for a future Digital Hindsight as well. However, I'll temper your expectations now. I use Adobe Premiere, I am not an expert, and I really don't know many fancy tricks, but I am definitely willing to show you how to avoid the mistakes I made self-teaching myself, and I'd love to take a tour and show everyone how it is behind the scenes to make an episode. Now to pay the bills, I currently work full-time as a manager in retail sales. That's why especially in November and December you'll find me very burned out. I also do independent financial work with stocks and options. Otherwise, for fun, besides playing video games, I'm a big fan of watching movies and anime, playing D&D, and I have a passion for cooking and baking. No worries on 15 and Star Ocean. Star Ocean is definitely one of my to-do lists. I haven't been on camera recently, but you can see me from a few years ago on an earlier Digital Hindsight. I don't stream with a camera either, mostly because I know I don't look particularly animated or interesting while I play or talk. I am willing to work with viewers to create recapitations that I cannot feasibly play by myself, and I have had someone approach me with Final Fantasy XIV, but the problems with Outbreak is there isn't a firm canon on which of the hundreds of endings is the true ending, other than we know that Alyssa Ashcroft is a survivor. It just doesn't fit into my structure at this time. In an alternate timeline where I never made this channel, I imagine I would have continued my path as an IT engineer, which is what I was doing when I made this channel 10 years ago. Oof, this is 10 years old. Or maybe go back to banking. Unfortunately, mainly due to the sheer amount of red tape around shows on YouTube, I have to stay away from stuff that will definitely get me flagged and copyright claimed. Not to mention, I really don't watch too many shows on TV, so I can't say I'd be too inspired or excited to kinda go down that route. But hey, thank you everyone for the questions. Now let's rapid fire each of the game requests. Keep in mind I'm not setting any commitments to when I'll work on them, again, one-man crew, and I reserve the right to change my mind later about any of them. The best way to get anything bumped up on the queue as a reminder is to be patient and persistent in requesting them, and upvoting the ones you want to see in the comments. Mother, yes, and I'm already working on Tactics Advance coming very soon. Star Ocean, definitely. Magna Carta, maybe the PS2 one, but not anytime soon. If I do God of War, it will be for the ones I liked, which were the first one and the new one, but yeah, I'm open to it. I will do RE2 Remake, and I have decided that it will be my 2019 Halloween special, so stay tuned. I adore the Assassin's Creed games, and it's very possible for me to cover them, so absolutely, and great pick, look forward to it. I've just put out Unlimited Blade Works, and I am working now to put out Heaven's Feel before the movie comes out March 14th, so expect it right around the corner. I saw the trailer, it's only the middle part of the game, so I'll be ahead of the curve for once before the third movie comes out. I agree with you, I should do Valkyrie Profile, and since it does have a true ending among its multiple endings, it gets a pass, so I'll put it in the queue. I have not heard of this series, so I'm not gonna say yes or no, but I will look into it to see if it fits my criteria. I'm all for more shooters though. Keep your hope up. When episode Arden comes out, the story DLC for 15 will finally all be out, so look forward to it finally coming out soon. Oof, I played those games and those are long games. I could do them, but I won't do them until I cover the .hack series first on principle. Vagrant Story is a yes. You're right, and now that the red tape is gone, the Metroid series is a yes. Once I finish Fate Stay Night, I do not have plans to continue on to Ataraxia or any of the other Fate games at this time. I would say wait 6 months per my usual cooldown on new titles, but there is talk of more story DLC, so once that's all out, then I'll recap it for sure. I feel I need to somehow do something for Union Cross in the meantime though. Go ahead and lock in all the mainline Pokemon games, and probably the Coliseum games too. I would love to tackle them all, and I will. You are right. I'm embarrassed to admit I overlooked that one as part of the Final Fantasy completion. Good catch, and will do. All of the Persona games will be covered, and frankly, will be easier to do than the Shin Megami games since they don't worry about alternate paths and such. You're right, and I will. On that, I will go back to the first game and move on from there. I don't know too much about Thousand Arms, but I will take a look into it, no promises just yet. Now Wild Arms, that's a definite yes for a future series. Ys I can do, but I can't guarantee the ones that didn't make it stateside, but I will see what I can do with what I've got. I have been known to use fan translations in the past. I haven't played any of the Mario and Luigi series, but I've heard good things about them. I'll look into them as a future idea. I've been planning the Shin Megami games for years, as I'm a big fan, but how to approach it has always been a challenge since the Law, Chaos, or Neutral paths are all viable. I may have to tackle the easier side story Persona ones before hitting the mainline series. The Mana series is going to be tricky since they handle their stories in an unusual way, but there shouldn't be an issue for the most part, especially since I already decided to make a playlist for it. You know, I thought about covering that one as an April Fool's video, and maybe one year I might, but for now I pass on any decidedly non-canon games. Ni no Kuni is a definite yes for a future episode, stay tuned. And with that, we're done with the Q&A. Thanks again for all the submissions. I am so humbled and grateful to have so much support and anticipation to see your favorite games get recapped so they can be shared with even more people. Please stay tuned for future projects, please share the current adventures with others, and please join me as a fellow adventurer. Thanks for watching as Digital Hindsight, and I'll see you on the next battlefield.